so you can come in and call in and contribute to the stories we'll be reading to you. Right? The Daily Independent and the Daily Trust newspaper.
And with me, I have the Vanguard newspaper, I have the Nation newspaper, and I have the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. I will be quick starting with the Tribune newspaper this morning. On page 3, private illegal aircraft used for drug trafficking, money laundering. This is coming from Kiaman with a single headline. The headline says the federal government will approve licenses, clamp down on indictment operators. Moving on from that to the top of the paper, that on page 5, on minimum wage, each state should be allowed to negotiate with labor unions. This is coming from Southern governors. As governors restate a commitment to proceed for better wages. Moving on from that on the top of the paper, I design my shoes. This is coming from One. Explain why he doesn't wear wristwatches. Moving on from that to page 28, EFCC chairman orders arrest of upgrade. It's on page 28. On page 24, transfer of case of to Kogi. On page 4, Senate says no request yet for presidential jets. Moving down, jets. Moving down, Tinubu approves National Construction Household Support Program rollout. It's on page 12. Prioritizes the Sokoto to Badagry Highway. Moving to page 3, National Economic Council meet silent on minimum wage with a single rider. The rider says approves $1 billion agri consortium initiative. Demand measures to end crude oil theft. On Ogbomoso chief imam kicked as son queries him over Hajj, confirming.
It's on 2023 budget said federal government okays December extensions to forestall abandoned projects. That's the way it's on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Moving ahead to Naira. It's a federal government trillion Naira. That is on page 22 of the Punch newspaper. And also we have on page 4 and 5, he said, probe begins as ex-Konga CEO allegedly jumps to death in Lagos apartments. That story is on page 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. So it says, NNPC to boost economy with $4 billion gas project. That story is on page 22. And lastly, the story I'll be picking on the Punch newspaper this morning. This story is coming from 28. It says blackmail can stop new presidential jet approval. And that's all I'll be taking on the Punch newspaper this morning. If you're interested, you can pick up the paper and read through.
Alright, moving over from that to the Vanguard newspaper. But before then, don't forget we are also live on YouTube at Erie 96.1 FM Ibadan. And you can stream us live on Facebook at Erie 96.1 FM Ibadan. Vanguard newspaper daily story there says that 55 on oil theft, surveillance in Sound Austin on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Do well to read more this morning.
Alright, don't forget you can watch us live on Facebook at newspaper. And in have here, it said rising debt, interest payments may read it. It said rising debt, interest payments may push Nigeria towards debt default. Alright, on minimum wage, you have let's pay according to our ability. That's the way it's coming from the Southern Governor. And it's on page 7 of the Daily Independence newspaper this morning. It said, let's pay according to. Alright, going to page 6. It says, cut governance cost, stop aircraft purchase. Ozekome tells Tinubu. That story is on page 6 of the Daily Independence newspaper. Also on the page 6, we have EFCC boss orders arrest of officers for assaulting hotel workers. That's why it's also on page 6. And also on page 6, we have troop repel attack on a Boeing police station, kill 5 terrorists. That's why it's on page 6. Moving ahead to page 7, it said on food crisis, federal government state to distribute free fertilizers to farmers. Also on page 7, It says, we won't allow Tinubu suffer Malawian Iranian president's fate. Wabio, we won't allow November 31st. Is on Daily Independence newspaper, and the last story I'll be taking on Daily Independence newspaper this morning says, surveillance operatives uncover Daily Independence newspaper this morning. If you're interested, you can pick up and read through.
Alright, now to the Nation newspaper. That will be the last. The first story I'll be taking from the Nation newspaper, that's on page 4. Tinubu rallies governors on massive food production. The rather there says President backs urging resort urban literacy engine conversion cost by half. Still on page 4, surveillance operatives uncover oil theft. Nation newspaper this morning.
Alright, on Daily Trust newspaper this morning, we also have a very few story making the headline. The one written boldly on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning says, Tinubu government silent on minimum wage. That's and it says right. I said federal government approved 370 billion naira for states. Is on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, and the second and the last story, it's a pictorial story actually. It's on Federal Ministry of Works. It's written boldly with pictorial reference of the. It's on Renewed Hope Legacy Road Infrastructure Project. That's all I have on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. We'll be going on a short break, and when we come back, we'll be reading out to you in details the stories we've read to you. Stay tuned.
Just go about one.
Erie 96.1 FM. We are the king.
This is your man Flo Rida.
Hey, what's happening? This your homie Plies, man.
Hey, yo, what's poppin', man? It's your boy Bow Weezy, man. Check it out.
This is Ed Sheeran.
Hi, I'm Charlie Puth.
Hi, this is Paul McCartney.
Your systems are offline.
Tune in to Erie 96.1 FM, the majestic station that rules the sound waves. Join us.
Ìpàdé àdúrà ńlá ọlọ́dọọdún ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ gàdára 2024 ó dàpọ̀ mọ́ bẹ́ńsáídà 123 oṣù keje July.
ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ gàdára 2024 ó dé. ìpàdé àdúrà ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kan lọ́dún tó máa ń mì gbogbo ìlú jìgìjìgì ní ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ gàdára. I must be free làkórí ìtọ́nu yìí o. èrò kẹ̀tíkẹ̀tí ó di ní ṣe bí ọba níbi tọ́lọ́run ti ń jẹ́rìí ara ẹ̀. tí fàmì òróró yẹn ti yanjú ìṣòro ayé onígbòjìgbò. ara ọ̀tọ̀tún ní ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ gàdára tọdún yìí o. ó dàpọ̀ mọ́ pàdé àdúrà olóṣooṣù ni. bẹ́ẹ̀sáìdà 123 tóṣù keje July ọdún yìí. Monday July 1 ló ń bẹ̀rẹ̀. títí wọ Sunday July 7 ọdún yìí ni. Sunday yẹn gẹ́gẹ́ ni I must be free. bẹ̀rẹ̀ láago 8 òwúrọ̀. ó yá ní ṣe bí ọba headquarters. ṣe bí ọba bus stop gbademu ìdíòbí airport area alákíá Ìbàdàn. His Eminence Apostle Dr. S.M.O. Mustapha J.P. baba ṣe bí ọba lólùgbàlejò àgbà. agbára ìràpadà máa mú wọn náà ṣe bí ọba. wàá gba ìtúsílẹ̀ pátápátá. Jésù retí rẹ máa bọ̀ kájọ pàdé níbẹ̀.
Oya.
Erie 96.1 FM. We are the king.
Thank you for staying tuned to Erie 96.1 FM Ibadan, and you're welcome back from that short break. I'll be quick starting with the Punch newspaper. The lead story I'll be taking says, federal government rolls out 1 trillion naira palliatives, a massive construction project. President Bola Tinubu on Thursday gave all the state governors 7 days to provide concrete feedback on their plans to rev up food production in their respective states. Tinubu gave the directive at the 142nd National Economic Council meeting attended at the State House, Abuja. He also announced the National Construction and Household Support Program, which will see 110,000 families round, even as 336 states and the Federal Capital Territory will get 10 billion naira allocation each for CNG buses. The 50,000 naira plans for 307 billion families across the 36 states and the FCT. The 10 billion naira allocation each for CNG buses in the 36 states and the FCT, as well as the 100 to ensure that following your consultation and submit it to my office to provide it, but we must achieve the results. And that's the story. You can get the story on the Punch newspaper. Okay, that's the story. Naira food packet for household. President Bola Tinubu says has approved the National Construction and Household Support Program during the National Economic Council meeting on Thursday in Abuja, according to a statement issued by the presidential spokesman, Ajurin Gilale. The program is aimed at boosting agricultural productivity, strengthening the economy, and providing immediate economic relief for Nigerian households. Ngilale added that the program, which was supported by the NEC, includes financial allocation and infrastructure projects across all geopolitical zones in the country. He added that a key component of the program is approval of the 50,000 naira uplift state for 3 months. Ngelale revealed that another 155 billion naira was earmarked for the purchase of and distribution of assorted foods across the nation to address concerns to infrastructure projects, including the Sokoto to Badagry Highway, which will traverse 7 states and is considered key for agricultural sustainability. He added that the state along the axis of Calabar Coastal Highway and the Trans-Saharan Highway. Tinubu also approved full counterpart financing for the Port Harcourt to Modaguri Highway and the Ibadan to Abuja segment of the Lagos to Kano Standard Gauge Railway. In addition to the project, Nglale said the NEC approved the allocation of 10 billion naira to each state and the Federal Capital Territory for the procurement of buses and implementation of compressed national. Read more this morning. You can get this story on the Punch newspaper with the headline: Tinubu approves 50,000 naira grant, 155 billion naira food package for household.
All right, here with me, I have the Nation newspaper. And the story I'll be reading out to you says, Federal government decries money laundering, drug trafficking via private aircraft. It has a rider. It says, Aviation Minister raises 8-man panel to address illegal charter operation. Then the story with us, it said, the federal government has frowned at the use of private aircraft for money laundering, drug trafficking, and other sharp practices. Aviation and Aerospace Development Ministers Festus Keyamo, who raised the flag, said Nigeria is losing billions of dollars to the activities of money launderers and drug dealers. The minister dropped the hint yesterday in Abuja during the inauguration of a task force on illegal private charter operation and related matters. Keyamo also revealed that reports have shown that some crew members have not attended mandatory simulator trainings for nearly 3 years but continue to fly with fraudulently obtained renewed licenses. It said, in a quote, "It has come to my attention through a series of disturbing reports that practice of illegal charter operation is thriving within the aviation industry, thereby undermining the efforts of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, and other regulatory bodies. These illicit activities have not only resulted in insignificant financial losses to the federal government, but have also raised security and safety concern as the operations of private aircraft owners have remained largely unchecked and unregulated." It continues, they said, this has also resulted in using these private aircraft for illegal activities. Last week, the National Security Advisor wrote to us, alerting us of the spike in money laundering, drug trafficking, and other illegal activities through the use of private aircraft in the country. It appears that private non-commercial flights (PNCF) operators have become increasingly emboldened, continuing their illegal operation with the assistance of Air Operators Certificate (AOC) holders, who collect tolls and list these illegal charters under their AOCs. Then it closed the speech. It said, on the revenue lost to the illegal operation, Keyamo said, we cannot sit down here and put a liquidated sum, but I can assure you that it will run into billions of dollars over time. The difference between AOC holders and what they pay the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA) and the PNCF holders is like night and day. The PNCF holders are those who come for license and say they don't want to carry passengers, but for their personal use. Just like the power holding company, if you run in a commercial premises, the tariff is much higher, while non-commercial tariff is low. So when you say it's non-commercial, they are billed very small amounts. And when you want to run commercial operation, they bill you more, which goes into the federation account. And we generate yearly billions of naira from each licenses as federal government. His speech goes on and on with the headline, Federal Government decries money laundering, drug trafficking via private aircrafts.
10 billion naira stolen crude intercepted. 2,245 terrorists killed. This is coming from Defense Headquarters. The Defense Headquarters said on Thursday that the military has made significant progress in the counter-insurgency war and the fight against all thefts. He said in the last 3 months, troops intercepted and recovered stolen crude oil worth 10 billion naira in the Niger Delta, while no fewer than 2,245 terrorists were killed in the north. The director, Defense Media Operation, Major General Edward Buba, gave the figure on Thursday during the Defense Headquarters bi-weekly briefing in Abuja. Buba said, and I quote, during the second quarter of this year, troops neutralized 2,245 terrorists, arrested 3,682 suspected terrorists and other criminal elements, as well as rescued 1,993 kidnapped hostage and denied the oil theft of an estimated sum of over 10 billion naira only, which means 9,225,149 liters of stolen crude oil, 2,874,916 liters of illegally refined AGO, 29,900 liters of DPK, and 31,380 liters of PMS, amongst other items, were recovered. Buba added that troops recovered 2,783 weapons and 64,549 ammunition rounds. The breakdown for the period included and is not limited to the following: 1,149 AK-47 rifles, 36,273 rounds of 7.62 meters special ammo, 14,764 rounds of 7.62 meters NATO. And Buba, however, described the counter-insurgency war as a marathon rather than a sprint, saying it would take some time to completely wipe off terrorists from the country. It was reported that terror activities in the northern part of the country have persisted for over a decade, leading to the killing and abduction of thousands of citizens and the displacement of millions. That's the story. Joel to read more this morning with the headline, 10 billion naira stolen crude oil intercepted, 2,245 terrorists killed. This is coming from Defense Headquarters. And you can also stream us live on Facebook and YouTube at Erie 96.1 FM Ibadan. And you can be part of the show this morning by calling our studio line 09056969961, 09056969961.
All right, still on the Nation newspaper. It says Tinubu seeks Senate confirmation of Tunji Bello Agungu for FCCPC PSC top jobs. He said President Bola Tinubu yesterday urged the Senate to consider and confirm the nomination of Dr. Olatunji Bello as Chief Executive Officer, CEO, Executive Vice Chairman of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC. The President also forwarded these three nominees for consideration and confirmation for appointment as Chairman, Secretary, and member of the Police Service Commission, PSC. They are retired Deputy Inspector General of Police, DIG, Ashim Agugu, Chairman, Chief Onyema Uche, Secretary, and retired DIG Taiwo Lakano, Member. Senate President Godswill Akpabio read the President letter during plenary. While Bello's nomination was referred to the Committee on Trade and Investment, Agugu, Uche, and Lankano were referred to the Committee on Police Affairs for further legislative work. The committees are to report back in 1 week. And the story goes on and on. Still on the Nation newspaper with the headline, Tinubu seeks Senate confirmation of Tuji Bello, Agugu for FCCPC PSC top jobs. And don't forget you can stream us live on Facebook at Iwi 96.1 FM. And also you can contribute by calling our studio line on 09056 969961. Once again, 09056 969961.
Alright, we have to go on a very short break. When we come back, I will give you more details and we pick calls when we come back.
You are locked into Erie 96.1 FM, the majestic station that rules the sound waves.
Let's go. This is your radio, your station.
You're locked into 96.1 Erie FM.
Your station.
Erie 96.1. Non-stop classics. We are the king.
Erie 96.1 FM. We are the king.
Otudiya Oniluku Ape, Kamashibi ọba tún bọ̀ 72 hours marathon prayer.
Ẹrù kẹ̀tíkẹ̀tí ó tún yá nípàdé àdúrà alágbára ńlá nílùú Fowópẹ́ 72 hours marathon prayer. Tó wáyé ní ṣe bí ọba national camp. Lagos Ìbàdàn expressway ìlú Fowópẹ́ area ìlú Fowópẹ́ ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn. Ẹ̀túnyẹ̀yà máa bọ̀ kájọ gbàdúrà gbàrẹ́ sí ayọ̀ kankan. Àwọn tó ti wá ló lè ròyìn iṣẹ́ àmì àti iṣẹ́ ìyanu ńláńlá tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ níbẹ̀. Capital miracles iṣẹ́ ìyanu gbòógì. Àkòrí rẹ̀ nìyẹn. Ìwọ náà máa bọ̀ wá jẹ́rìí sí bí Olúwa ṣe náwó agbára tó ń lo wòlíì rẹ̀. Tábà tí wọnú àdúrà látọjọ́ Wednesday June 26 wọ Friday June 28. Ìṣọ́ òru tá a máa wọnú ẹ̀ mọ́júmọ́ ọjọ́ Saturday June 23 ọdún yìí. La máa fi kásẹ̀ rẹ̀ lẹ̀. Ìránṣẹ́ Ọlọ́run aláàyè His Eminence Apostle Dr. S.M. Mustapha JP àti màmá Prophetess Eunice Mustapha. Bàbá àti màmá Ṣebí ọba lólùgbàlejò. Tó bá lè wá síbi ìpàdé àdúrà láyé. Ló fún wa pẹ́ 72 hours marathon prayer. Tó sùn kẹfà. Testimony rẹ̀ dájú ìwọ gẹ́gẹ́ lẹ́rìí kan gbà bẹ́ẹ̀.
Feeling stuck? Need a boost of inspiration? Look no further. The dew of motivation is here. You are listening to Erie 96.1, your favorite radio station for non-stop classics. We are the king.
Welcome back from that commercial break. Moving away from the Punch newspaper to the Vanguard newspaper, the first story I'll be taking that on minimum wage. Let each state negotiate what it can pay. This is coming from the governors. Governors from the southern part of Nigeria, under the aegis of the Southern Governors Forum, yesterday called for the consideration of the ability of each state to pay the new minimum wage. Their call came as the Nigerian Governors Forum (NGF) said Wednesday night that it will continue to engage stakeholders to reach a mutually agreeable solution to the new minimum wage crisis. Although President Tinubu was, in an unusual manner, present at the National Economic Council NEC meeting, often chaired by the Vice President Kashim Shettima, said no word about the new minimum wage. The Vice President said nothing about it either. This is even as organized labor yesterday raised alarm that both public and private sectors workers were becoming restive over delay in concluding the new minimum wage and were pushing labor leaders to declare industrial action to quicken the process. The governors and a six-point communique issued yesterday also advocated that each state also be allowed to negotiate the new minimum wage with the labor unions. The forum said, and I quote, "The forum discussed that the minimum wage issue demanded by labor and unanimously agreed that the minimum wage should be reflective of the cost of living and that each state should be allowed to negotiate its minimum wage." This led to the forum's discussion on fiscal federalism and dissolution of power. The communique read, "Rising from the meeting of the Nigerian Governors Forum (NGF), the Abuja in the earlier hour of yesterday, governors of the 36 states of the Federation promised to remain dedicated to the process and assure that better wages would result from ongoing negotiation. At the meeting were governors of Oyo, Samfara, Anambra, Delta, Gombe, Kano, Imo, Kwara, Ondo, Kaduna, Kebbi, Ebonyi, Sokoto, Ogun State, among others. Deputy governors of Akwa Ibom, Osun, Borno, and others were also at the meeting. The story goes on and on. Do well to read more this morning with the headline that on minimum wage, let each state negotiate what it can pay. Governors revealed that.
All right, I'm moving ahead to the Guardian newspaper, and the story I'll be reading to you says, Akpabio to approve request for jet as NAS OK validity of 2023 budget. And it has two rider. The first rider says, Senate justifies new lifespan, rep passes bill despite opposition. And the second rider says, on aviation expert, Tinubu's use of chartered aircraft a national embarrassment. And the story reads thus, it says, Senate President Godswill Akpabio yesterday gave an anticipatory approval to a non-existing request for the purchase of jets for President Bola Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima. It follows widespread insinuation that yesterday's sitting at the National Assembly would, beside other matters, witness lawmakers approve for the purchase of presidential jets for Tinubu and Shettima. The Senate President affirmed that no request for new jets came before the chamber. He, however, said the Senate would without delay approve any such request if it came, to avert the fate suffered by the Vice President of Malawi and the President of Iran, who both died in air crashes. He declared that the Senate would not fold its hand and watch Tinubu die like the aforementioned. Akpabio gave the indication at an emergency session which was convened to consider an extension of the implementation period of the capital component of the 21.83 trillion naira 2023 budget and those of the 2.17 trillion naira 2023 supplementary budget. He also reacted to the report in a section of the media where he was credited with saying that the Senate will approve the purchase of a new presidential jet regardless of the economic hardship faced by Nigeria. Akpabio said in a quote, "We will also take cognizance of the duties of Mr. President. If his vehicle is bad, we will repair the vehicle. If his plane is bad, we will approve money for repair of the plane. So that is not an issue." I was in Zanzibar attending the Interparliamentary Union meeting when the information went out that the Senate President said he will approve a brand new plane for the President, irrespective of whether Nigerians are suffering or not suffering. There was never a time such statement came from me because I've never had any correspondence to approve a plane or not approve a plane, and I did not want to answer. But they went further to generate it, and then they went around as if I was saying that I did not care about Nigerians. I did not do this. We care about the president. We care about the Nigerian people. We will approve things that will benefit the Nigerian people. We will approve things that will improve the living standards of the people. There is nothing before us, and I don't think you should worry about it. And the story goes on and on. A speech goes on and on. Then the last one, he said the resolution came after a request by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu through an executive bill. The lifespan of the 2023 Appropriation Act and the 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Act was expected to terminate on Sunday, June 30, 2024. And the story goes on and on the Guardian newspaper with the headline, Akpabio to approve request for jet as NAS OK's validity for 2023 budget.
All right, still on the Vanguard newspaper. And don't forget you can be part of the show this morning by calling our studio line on 09056 969961. We have a caller already. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
We lost that. Okay. Alleged money laundry, still on the Vanguard newspaper, on alleged money laundry. Why I want EFCC to try me in Kogi. This is coming from ex-governor Bello. Oh, it has a single right there. The story says the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Alhaji Yahaya Bello, who is facing a 19-count charge, has adduced a reason to that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, should prosecute him in Kogi. The former governor, in the letter he wrote to the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Toso, said it will be legally wrong for the anti-graft agency to subject him to a trial in Abuja when he offense he allegedly committed was in Kogi State. In a letter written through his team of lawyers led by Mr. Abdul Wahab Muhammad SAN below, maintained that only the Lokoja division of the High Court had the territorial jurisdiction to entertain the allegations against him. The Southern High Court, other funds which the complainant alleged to have been laundered by the defendants are monies of the government of Kogi State, whose state capital is in Lokoja, or the bank account from which he said monies are stated to be laundered from, as shown in the proof of the evidence, are domicile with the branches of the respective bank in Lokoja, Kogi State. That the law is settled that generally the Federal High Court jurisdiction is one all over the Federation. The court is divided into judicial division, and where a crime is committed is in any of the division, criminal proceedings thereof must be initiated and prosecuted in the very judicial division of the Federal High Court, where the act or omission of the element of the offense were allegedly committed. That's the story he further said, though the matter was originally slated for the defendant to enter the play or to the charge. He was not, however, present in court when the case was caught up. A lawyer, Mr. Adeola Adedipe, SAN, who announced an appearance for him, drew the attention of trial Justice Emeka Uwete to the letter his client wrote to the CJ on June 13. He said the CJ had already asked EFCC's lawyer to respond to the request for the case filed by the transferred to Kogi to be transferred to Kogi. The story goes on and on. Do well to read more this morning on alleged money laundering. Why I want EFCC to try me in Kogi. This is coming from ex-governor Bello.
All right, still on the Guardian newspaper, this story is on River State. It said, Ohanaeze youth seek Tinubu's intervention to end political crisis. And it has the right, I said, a IG visit state to assess security situation, urges officers to remain neutral. Worried by the disruption of government activities in Rivers State, Ohanaeze Ndigbo Youth Council (OYC) yesterday asked President Bola Tinubu to call the Minister for Federal Capital Territory (FCT), Nyesom Wike, and his supporters to order. In a statement by the National Publicity Secretary of the group, Chika Hat Adieli, the Ohanaeze youth noted that the continuous disruption of governance activities for political gain would have dire consequences on the economy of the state if not checked. The OYC stated that there only one governor is allowed by the constitution at a time in a state, stressing that it was sad that certain people decided to constitute an obstacle in governance of the state. They said their attention has been drawn to the looming anarchy and plot to cause breach of peace in a bid to derail the executive governors of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, from delivering its people-oriented projects. According to the group, we are miffed by the audacity of the outgone chairman and their agents to disrupt government activities in the local council headquarters across the state by barricading the entrance to these government facilities. Nigeria is a constitutional democracy, as it is an aberration for anyone to attempt to play God in the affairs of men. Constitutionally, Fubara was elected to serve a 4-year term with a constitutional convention for a second term, just like the former chairman. Meanwhile, the Assistant Inspector General of Police, AIG, in charge of Zone 16, Yenogwa, Bayelsa State, AIG Paul Mata, visited the Rivers State Police Command yesterday to evaluate the security situation in the state. The visit, according to the AIG, was to assess the situation and identify potential areas for improvement following the political crisis in the state. AIG Omata, who addressed officers in the police officers' mess, emphasized the importance of professionalism and neutrality in maintaining peace and security in Rivers. And the story goes on and on. On Rivers, he said, Ohanaeze youth seeks Tinubu's intervention to end political crisis. If you're interested, you can check the Guardian newspaper this morning. And don't forget, you can still call us on the studio line on 090-5696-9961. We would like to hear your opinion on the story being read to you.
Alright, still on the Vanguard newspaper. Governors correcting universities to access state fund. This is coming from ASO. President of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASO, Professor Emmanuel Osodeke, has slammed governors for establishing state universities they cannot fund. He also alleged that most governors duplicate universities in their states to get a piece of the pie. That is the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TET Fund. Osodeke, who made the allegation in an interview, said any governor today establishing a university is eyeing TET Fund as a source of funding. He said, though TET Fund was established as an intervention fund for public universities, politicians and civil servants and now saw it as a catch to be milked dry through shady procurement and a contract fraud. TET Fund was created as an intervention fund, not the major funding. The universities belong to the federal government, and government is supposed to fund them, and the states are supposed to fund their own. It is an intervention fund, but there are people who want to access to that money from the political circle, from the bureaucratic circle at all costs. We are struggling with that, he said. The ASO president said the structure should be corrected to carry stakeholders along in the process of what the money was allocated and spent in all open and transparent manner. He added that the stakeholders should include the university community, lecturers, student group, and to put an end to the case you see today where somebody comes up from the TET Fund and say, I have a project for you and I'm going to be the contractor. We want an open project. Every university council should be allowed to run its project with the stakeholders' involvement. That is the story. The story goes on and on. Do we have to read more this morning? Governors correcting universities to access TET Fund. This is coming from ASO.
All right, I'll be handing the story on the Daily Trust newspaper with the headline, Federal Government launches Fistula-Free Program. It says the National Health Insurance Authority (NHIA) yesterday launched its fistula-free program to enhance financial access to care for women suffering from obstetric fistula in the country. Flagging of the intervention in Abuja, the coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Pate, said the inauguration of the NHIA Fistula-Free program marks a pivotal step in government commitment to tackling the severe healthcare challenges posed by obstetric fistula in Nigeria. He said the condition causes chronic incontinence and severe social and economic consequences, particularly for young malnourished women from poor households. He said the MOU on the intervention was critical to formalizing the collaborative effort between the NHIA, National Obstetric Fistula Centers, and selected health management organization HMOs to ensure a coordinated and effective approach to addressing obstetric fistula across Nigeria. He said it outlines the roles and responsibility of each party and set a framework for committee's tasks. The minister said the committee on the intervention will be action-oriented and results-driven in providing strategic guidance and direction, reviewing progress, making recommendations for improvement, for advocating for prevention, and evaluating impact. The Chief Executive Officer of the NHIA, Dr. Kelechi Ohiri, said obstetric fistula affects about 100,000 women nationwide and results from prolonged and obstructed labor without timely medical intervention, leading to unpleasant outcomes. He said each year about 13,000 new cases arise, and that without intervention it could take up to 83 years to address the backlog of unrepaired cases. He said the initial phase of the program targets National Obstetric Fistula Center in Katsina, Bauchi, Ebonyi, and Edo states, with plans to expand to other hospitals. And the story goes on and on with the headline, Federal government launches fistula-free program. That story is on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. If you're interested, you can pick it up and read through.
Probe begins as ex-Konga CEO allegedly jumped to death in Lagos apartment. The Lagos State Police Command has commenced an investigation to unravel the true circumstances surrounding the death of the former Chief Executive Officer of Konga, one of the Nigerian e-commerce giants, Nick Imudia, who reportedly died by suicide at his residence in the Lekki area of Lagos State. The State Police Public Relations Officer, Benjamin Udeye, confirmed the development to the newsman on Thursday after it became public knowledge that Umudia, in an apparent attempt to take his life, allegedly jumped from the balcony of his residence. Reacting to the to the question regarding the case, Udeye said, "Yes, it is true. He allegedly committed the act on June 25. An investigation has commenced at the Homicide Section, SCID, Yaba. It was gathered that Umudia, a 45 years old, was at home when he reached for his phone, contacted his United States-based brother, and gave him instructions on how to share his wealth. The businessman was said to have also contacted his young daughter and informed her that he was also be there for her. After making the calls, it was gathered that Umudia, who until his death was the CEO of Delight, a leading innovator in residential solar energy solution, reportedly went to the balcony of his apartment on Tuesday, June 25, 2024, and jumped down from there. The impact of his body hitting the ground was said to have claimed his life. As of the time of filing there is a report, the reason Umudia took his life took his action that ended his life could not be ascertained by family members, friends, and associates who were said to still be in shock over the incident. That is the story you want to read more this morning with the headline. Probe begins as ex-Konga CEO allegedly jumped to death in Lagos apartment. Okay, this is where we call it a wrap on the morning rush this morning. We appreciate our lovers on Facebook. We appreciate our commenters on Facebook. We have Oluyemi Awukwede. We have Peles Smart. We have Pin Mouth Comedia. Thank you so much for staying tuned to Erie 96.1 FM. Ibadan. Till we come your way next time. Till I come your way next time, I remain Opeyemi Hamid. Stay tuned to Erie 96.1 FM. Ibadan. Good morning.
And I remain Morenike Olorunsola. Have a positive and productive day ahead. Good morning.
Oh, we got a message from Ademola, but we got that very late concerning the aircraft purchase. The Senate. Oh, we can take that. We take okay. Thank you for staying tuned to Uri 96.1 FM, Mr. Ademola. Let's do that next time. Let's do that on Monday. Thank you so much.
Yes, we appreciate you. Good day.